To build the character of Loki, I've mainly been looking to the MCU version, but I've taken a bit of inspiration from the Norse god as well. As always, there's a character sheet in the description if you'd prefer to see it in that format. I have some particular areas I wanted to focus on with this build, starting with Loki's illusion magic, which I think will translate to D&D as illusion and transmutation, so I'm going to use both when choosing spells. Other than that, I want Loki's manipulative nature and stealthy prowess to be on display, so some levels in Rogue will likely be used. Loki is an unnaturally small frost giant with enchantments in place to make himself look like a normal Asgardian. There is no frost giant race in Dungeons & Dragons, so instead the only real options are Goliath and Firbolg. Both are essentially giant races, but out of the two I think that Firbolg fits the character better. As a Firbolg, we get +2 to Wisdom and +1 to Strength, as well as the spells Disguise Self and Detect Magic. We will also gain the ability Hidden Step, allowing us to turn ourselves invisible, which fits the character of Loki very well. To cover Loki's abilities, I started by putting 3 levels into Rogue, giving us Sneak Attack and Cunning Action, which will help us with our stealthy playstyle in combat. We also gain Expertise, which I will cover later on. At 3rd level, there is a choice of Roguish Archetype, and initially I thought that Arcane Trickster was the obvious choice, but I'm actually going to be covering Loki's magical abilities in multi-class levels. So I would suggest taking the Assassin option instead. The Mastermind option from Xanathar's Guide to Everything seems like a good fit for the character, and I think in later levels it would be better, but for this build I won't be taking it above the 3rd level ability, which isn't as good, so Assassin seems like the stronger pick. This gives us the ability Assassinate, allowing for stronger attacks against opponents that haven't taken a turn yet, and proficiency in the Disguise kit and the Poisonous kit. Next, I will be putting 2 levels into Wizard to give us some illusion spells to play with. We will be specialising in the School of Illusion, which gives us the cantrip Minor Illusion and allows us to create a sound as well as an image at the same time. This brings the character up to level 5, which is where I would start playing him. If you want to take the character further, then I would recommend putting any more levels you get into Wizard. This will improve the spells you have and will give you more illusion abilities. In particular, at level 10 you get Illusory Self, allowing you to create false duplicates of your character, which is very in keeping with the sort of thing Loki does. For starting equipment, we will be using the Rogue options, giving us leather armour, 2 daggers, and some thieves' tools. Beyond that, a burglar's choice makes sense, but the other options don't matter. Loki will mainly be using daggers for combat. You could possibly bring some short swords though if you want some other options. You'll also want to get your hands on the most obnoxious helmet possible as soon as you can to display your superiority over others. For spells, we will be taking options from the wizard list. Generally, you will want to focus on illusion and enchantment spells, as well as possibly some transmutation if you see some you like. In particular, the cantrips Dancing Lights, Friends, and Prestidigitation are good options, as well as the level 1 spells Alarm, Charm Person, Fog Cloud, Illusory Script, Silent Image, and Sleep. Thanks to our race and class, we will also already have Disguise Self, Minor Illusion, and Detect Magic. As usual, I've created a Homebrew feature for the build, and this time I've given Loki an ability called Fake Death. When the character takes damage that would drop him 2 or below 0 HP, they may instead use their reaction to drop to 1 HP and turn invisible until the end of their next turn. An illusion is put in place to make any enemies within 100 feet believe the damage was fatal and that Loki is dead. These enemies may make a wisdom saving throw to see through that illusion. This ability may be used for free once per long rest, but the price increases by 1 spell slot level each time it is used. This number resets after a long rest. For ability scores, you will want to focus on Intelligence for spellcasting and Dexterity for combat and stealth. Then Charisma and Wisdom mainly for the purposes of skills, and finally Strength and Constitution won't be as important. There are a couple of background options that would be appropriate for Loki. Noble seemed like a good choice, but in the end, I thought Charlatan seemed like too perfect of a match with his personality for me to pick anything else. The personality traits I picked are on screen, and for alignment, Loki can be quite difficult to pin down. I would describe the Norse god as chaotic neutral or maybe chaotic evil at times, but the MCU version of Loki I think starts chaotic neutral and later changes into chaotic good. So you should choose whichever you want to based on which version of the character you want to reflect. From our Charlatan background, we get the skills Deception and Sleight of Hand. Then we get 4 more skills from our Rogue class. I would recommend Investigation, Perception, Persuasion, and Stealth. In terms of what to do with your ability score increases, the feats Skulker and Warcaster are good options, but beyond that you will just want to increase your intelligence and dexterity as much as possible. That's the character finished. There's a link in the description if you'd like to see some other characters from Marvel, including Loki's brother Thor, and be sure to leave a comment if you have any characters you'd like me to make builds for.